Hey, podcast listeners, this is Dr. Hugh, and you're listening to episode number 2, True Health Recovery Podcast, and I want to welcome you for being here today. And what I wanted to do today is just give you some hope. You know, this is the second podcast. I've been treating patients for 21 years, getting into podcasting, the second podcast. So this is one of my patients who was severely damaged with fluoroquinolones, which is an antibiotic. He had concussions. He was just mauled in the medical system. So this was initially done on a Zoom call. So some of the audio, there might be some little bumps in the road, but really my purpose of letting you listen to this and putting this on the air is Tom. He wanted to share his story and give you some light, give you some hope that there's possibility. There's possibility for you to get well. If you're suffering out there, and you're still suffering, the reason why you're still suffering is because you haven't found the cause of the problem. Once you find the cause of your problem, you can get well. So I hope you enjoy this episode of Tom talking about his recovery. And where there's help, there's hope. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. All right, Tom. So welcome to the call. So you've been Floxed and you've been under my care. So really the purpose of today's video here, Tom, is just to give all the Floxies out there some hope. And some hope, and I say where there's help, there's hope, right? So where there's help, there's hope. As you know, there's probably millions of Floxies out there, just like yourself, suffering, and you've had success. Now, one thing I do want to just clarify, right, to start off with here is your face is going to be blurred in this video. So maybe just kind of give the audience here, the people that are going to be watching Tom, and why Tom's on the Zoom call here, on this recording, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or wherever. At the end of the day, you're going to be making an impact on someone's life because your story, Tom, is going to resonate with like thousands and tens of thousands of Floxies or people that have been hurt. So just kind of maybe go into your story on why you want your face to be blurred out.
Sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to not only promote you and your services, but also to kind of tell my story. At the end of January, I was involved in an accident on my property. I had a tree branch smack me in the head. I ended up with post-concussion syndrome and a sinus infection for 4 weeks until finally my eardrum blew out. After my eardrum blew out, I called my family doctor and they sent me down to the urgent care, the walk-in clinic, and the doctor quickly diagnosed that I had a sinus infection, listened to me, prescribed me 10 days of levofloxacin. And that day I was pretty miserable, laying on the couch, and then ended up the following day, it was a Sunday, I actually felt pretty good. It was the first relief that I've had from this terrible, nasty headache. Made it through the day, ate, slept, did everything right. I woke up early Monday morning with my feet on fire, my brain on fire, my eyes worse than they were even with the concussion stuff. I was a self-described hot mess. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I did the responsible thing. Yeah, I did the responsible thing, and I went to my family doctor's office where I was what I consider gaslit by the medical community. The guy called me bipolar, threw up his hands, and walked out the door on me.
When you say gaslit, what do you mean by that, Tom? What do you mean by gaslit?
Sure. So gaslighting is a psychological term that it means when medical professionals downplay your symptoms and basically just tell you you're just all imagining it. You're crazy. Mm-hmm. I was not crazy at the time. I became acutely agitated, is what he said, because I was being treated like crap by the nurses and physician assistants. So I was agitated for 5 minutes in a doctor's office and spent the next 2 months defending my personality. Mm-hmm. And I've now concluded that I will not talk about any mental health issues with the medical community, because whatever I say is on my permanent record.
Yeah, they think you're crazy.
Yeah, they just think you're crazy. Luckily, after that incident where I got gaslit by a doctor, I did make it to a major university, and my doctor there has been very nice. She's been very pleasant with me. She's been very patient, and she's done a tremendous job. But she only got me so far, and I have a hard time. I got so violated that day to even talk to her about the cognitive issues I was having, and still having a little bit. Things have improved so much over the last couple months working with Dr. Hugh that I finally feel like I have my life back.
Well, that's awesome. So, you put a lot of time and effort into it. Tom, when you tell people like how bad, what were your major problems? Like when you came to me, what was like devastating your life?
I couldn't think after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was to the point where I couldn't watch TV. I run a small business. I'm a sole proprietor in my business. And after 3 o'clock is when I typically get all my paperwork done and finish up my day. And I had stacks of paperwork, and it got to the point where I could hardly walk. I was my feet were on fire. My Achilles tendons were on fire. And I really think that some of the supplements made a huge impact in all of the nerve pain that I was feeling there. And you don't have much confidence when you read the black box warning and it says, causes tendon ruptures and all this other stuff. So it's been quite the road.
Yeah, I know that you were definitely through the ringer, and you went to some top universities. Do you want to mention the university that you went to or not?
I'd prefer not. They have done. I do have to admit that they have done all that they can
with the tools, with the limited amount of tools that they have.
Exactly.
And understanding. That's the big difference here. You can go to all the fancy medical institutions, but if they don't have a different set of tools to help you, you're just not going to get better. So just give it for the Floxies out there, and anyone that's watching this that has like brain problems, maybe just give the viewers here, Tom, like how bad was your brain? Like, could you not read? You couldn't think? Your brain fog? How bad was the brain function?
So the day after I got called bipolar and also ended up in the emergency room that night where they pulled me off. The following day I signed I can't think of the word, power of attorney, because I couldn't think anymore. I was done.
Okay, I didn't realize that. So you literally could not think for yourself. You had to sign like some power of attorney to someone, obviously,
right,
to take care of your needs because your brain was that like gone.
Right. My wife was already very overtaxed. She was basically running my business, working her business or working her job. It was very, very stressful through the concussion stuff and all of that. You just go through a lot of emotional and mental problems through concussions. And then after the floxing, I was literally, I couldn't take anything anymore. Lay in a dark room. I actually wrote a poem, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share it.
Yeah.
My mind is full of fright. I'm scared of the light. My heart pounds with might. Am I going to make it tonight? That's what I wrote.
Wow.
So a 40-year-old man, and I am a man. I'm a bearded man. I'm tough. I'm solid. I'm stable. I'm everything. I couldn't pay credit cards. I couldn't think of anything. And over the following months, I was able to get some sleep and work with a life coach that I hired to help me regain a lot of the just basic sense of time, and I was journaling a lot. If you talked to me one day and then the next day I talked to you, I'd remember the conversation, but I had no idea when it was.
Wow.
It could have been a month ago, 2 months ago. And it was affecting my business. It was affecting my personal life. I literally thought I could die. And
Wow.
as the months went on, I just kept dealing with it, just kept working it. I'm a very optimistic person. I like to always think of the positive. I've made such a huge impact working with you over the last couple months. I've
Yeah.
lost weight. I'm more concentrated on my health. I have to admit, for years I've been working on everybody else's stuff, and this year I've decided to work on myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, wow, thank you for reading that poem. That brought a little tear to my eye, man. I mean, you knew that by heart. You didn't read that from any piece of paper, Tom. You just like ripped that off. Like you knew that by heart. You've said that probably thousands and thousands of times to yourself.
Yeah, I have. A guy goes through what I consider PTSD. I still can't drive by the doctor's office. I still can't. It's even hard even talking about it. I will not talk about all of this stuff to a medical professional
Right.
because then I'm deemed crazy. And if I have athlete's foot, they're going to think I'm just crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so to give the listeners kind of a background, is you had a couple concussions, and then you had the sinus infection, then you were Floxed, and this is when things
Right.
really spiraled downward, is after you had the concussions and then you were Floxed. That's like when your brain just kind of went to mush. Is that fair statement there, Tom?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I was running at about 60% before the floxing. And that Monday morning, I'll never forget it. I woke up, my feet were on fire. I mean, just burning, and I was out of it. I mean, I was operating at 10%.
And that's the day after you got Floxed that happened.
Yeah, well, the first day I laid around, I was pretty miserable just with the sinus and everything, neck and back, and just a miserable state. And then Sunday I actually felt pretty good, but day 3 was the big changing point. It really affected me. The emergency room, I was peeing blood.
Wow.
Yeah, my blood pressure was stupid high. My pulse was 160-ish at the emergency room. It was not doing very well. Let's put it that way.
No, that's for sure. Wow, I didn't realize all that stuff. And then, a lot of flexies have like tendon and Achilles tendon and feet problems and burning. Tell the listeners, like, what did
I have a very active lifestyle. I own 22 acres. I have a huge organic garden. I have a very active dog. I like to hike. I like to travel. I've been to 48 states, numerous countries. Last October, I did an 11-mile hike, and I got to the point where I could hardly walk. I mean, getting across my living room was tough, and you don't feel like walking when your feet are on fire. You don't feel like getting outside, and was I depressed? No, because I've always had a pretty good outlook on it. About a week into my concussion, I told myself that I wanted to be better than I was before I hit my head, and it was tough enough with the concussion, and then I required a lot of help from friends, family, other doctors, to get back to where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
Which is a productive, active, 40-year-old guy.
Yeah, for sure. So tell them now, like, because we just spoke on the phone the other day, and you said like your brain was like 90% better.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the last few months, I'm sleeping better, which obviously improves brain function. It's past 3:00 now. It's 4:15, and I think I'm sounding pretty good in this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
If you talked to me in March, you would have been like, "Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
Friends would be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Like, I basically, and I think they call it depersonalization.
Yeah, that's very common. Yeah.
Yeah. I basically just kind of shut down a little bit and just limited who I talked to and for how long. 5-minute conversation with my best friend on March 4th was too much for me.
Wow.
It was just too much. I couldn't deal with it. That was 2 days after I got Floxed.
I mean, yeah, you're 40. I mean, you got 22 acres there. I mean, you got to be moving around. You got to hustle. I suppose you have big equipment. I think you're probably a guy that likes to use his hands and move equipment around.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One of my hobbies is to take care of the property. I just finally started mowing the lawn again. My wife's kind of took over to that
Mm-hmm.
over this year, and yeah, I'm constantly outside. I have a big pond, and I feed the fish 3 times a day. And
Wow.
right here, I like to be active. I work from home, so like my lunch break, I walk in the woods. I tinker and I build stuff, and I'm a very hands-on guy. I always have been, and
Yeah.
uh, the last 2 weeks, I finally got out into my shop.
Wow, that's
It's
awesome.
Yeah, I haven't been out there since January.
Yeah, because we've been working together. What would you say, like 3 months here, Tom? About 3 months?
Yeah, I'm going to defer that to you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know it's been about 3 months. So I mean,
yeah, yeah.
and then the case work of it, I think is real critical because when you've gone to all these fancy universities, they've done all they've done their standard panel. But man, we found so much stuff on you that it was like ridiculous that nothing was caught. I mean, we found your ferritin was sky high, your insulin was sky high, you had chronic inflammation going on in your body. I think your vitamin D was in the tank. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that we found on your labs that was never addressed in all the big fancy medical institutions.
Right, right. My previous doctor and was what I consider, he was a pretty decent guy, but I consider him pretty lazy. I my new doctors and stuff have been, they took me from a hot mess and got me to, somewhat functional. Checked me out. I went through the CT with contrast. I did the echo to make sure my heart was okay.
Mm-hmm.
We followed up on, all the standard stuff, but I was still, struggling. And I do have to give my new doctor a little bit of credit. I never talked to her about my after 3 o'clock brain fog and stuff because I didn't want that to become some mental illness for me.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to turn into, oh well, you need to see a psychologist and you need to see that. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I did agree to see a psychologist in March, at the beginning of March. I wasn't sleeping. I had post-concussion syndrome. I just gotten Floxed. I literally was ready to just give up at that point. I was just at my absolute lowest. And the soonest they could fit me in was June 12th.
Okay. Yeah, guys,
So,
like you need like immediate help.
yeah, yeah. I'm a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up canceling the appointment because I was doing better and I was on the mend. I was sleeping again and you know, kind of struggling still in the afternoons and still not operating at any sort of functional level. But I really didn't want to go wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go talk to a psychologist to just give me some drug that was probably going to make it worse.
Yeah.
I don't do well on medications. I never have, and I have to say, I think we've only had that one little issue with that supplement, with a little bit of indigestion and you were able to fix that, and we kind of worked around that. I've
Yeah.
been very happy. This is my first time ever working with a functional medicine doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to say that I'm doing much better.
Yeah. Well, how much better would you say that you're doing? Just would you say overall? This is Tom's own like rating scale. Like, what do you just had to throw a number out percentage wise. How much better are you?
I would say 90%.
I mean,
I,
this is the thing with the community, man. Like, if you're out there and you're listening to Tom's story, he's 90% better, and he's afraid to go into the medical system because they just beat him up and beat him up and beat him up. And here we get to the root cause of the problem. It's an individualized, custom tailored program. We did the right test, and now, dude, you got your life back, man.
yeah, yeah, it's been awesome. I you measure function by percentage. I did a 2.5 mile walk, one of our favorite walking trails, just the other week, and I suffered a little bit, but I made it. During it, I was in some pain, but compared to March, I wasn't willing to walk to my mailbox.
Yeah, you couldn't even walk in March. Your Achilles tendons were so bad.
Right.
And the bottom of your feet inflamed.
And I always think it's like neuropathy. That's how I describe it. My feet were on fire, and today they're little pins and needles.
Mm-hmm.
And I even have times where my feet don't hurt.
Yeah.
So things are moving in the right direction. I definitely think that, with a little bit more time and a little bit more, help and I think I'm going to be better than I was before I hit my head.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, when people come Floxed, their commitment to their health is so much higher than when they weren't Floxed, because they have so much damage going on, right? So I know when I got on the phone, I could kind of just, like when you had all these concussions, like, man, you got brain inflammation, your brain's inflamed, you got bad gut, who knows all the other things that we're going to find here in the labs, and we found a whole bunch of like blood glucose problems, and then it's just like taking these things that we found and applying a custom plan to move the needle from here to here. And we have phone calls and Zoom calls, and so it's a really specific program that we put you on to start to move the needle. We even did mold tests. We did mold tests, organic acid tests. So it was really thorough tests that none of these other institutions were doing on you.
Yeah, and I do think the insurance companies also hold back on what they're able to do and what they're able to help, and it's just so cumbersome to get the help that you need.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember your wife is the person that reached out to me first, actually. I think she spoke to me, and then she actually even made your appointment, actually, just to get on the phone. And she was like, well, I don't know. You just get on the phone and see what happens. And then I remember that call actually really clear, because you were on the fence if you were actually going to move forward. And then right when I was about ready to hang up the phone, you said, nope, let's do it.
Yep.
Remember that call?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I remember that very well. And why I was on the fence is I've lost a ton of money this year through my business.
Yeah.
I've spent a ton of money at the Western medicine places getting checked out. I've missed so much work. And at some point I was like, you know what? I'll give this guy a shot. I've heard good things. I watched some of these videos. That's why I agreed to do this video.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get better. I had this drive, and the doctors would call that hypervigilant or something. But when you're down and you want to be back to normal, I am hypervigilant because that's my personality. I'm Finnish, I'm Irish, and I'm a Leo. That's just the way it is.
I'm funny too. I'm Irish too. My grandma's full Irish.
Oh yeah.
Full Irish. Yeah, she would eat onions, man. She was like hardcore. She would peel the onions and eat it like an apple.
Yeah, that's not on the keto diet.
No, that's not on the keto diet. No, but that's
yeah.
Man, her breath, her breath was something else, boy. But she would love those onions. Yeah, she was 100% full-blooded Irish. So, well, in closing here, what would you say to the people that are watching you and they're hearing you, and what kind of what kind of advice or what kind of gems would you tell these people?
Don't stop. Just keep trudging along. I've had a history of some depression in my earlier years, and I know that slope. And you got to set up a ton of roadblocks on that slope going downhill. You need to have friends, family. You got to just keep pushing. Find the help. I've had wonderful luck with Dr. Hugh. You just got to keep trying. Just keep trudging along. It's an uphill battle, and being able to walk again, being able to think again, I'm glad that I never stopped. Once again, call it hypervigilant or whatever. It is what it is. You got to just keep getting better every day. Just set a goal and do it.
Yeah, I would just call it persist. You have a persistence on wanting to get better. That's really what it comes down to, you know. So if
Right.
someone's going to watch this video and they're on the fence, if they want to move forward with some kind of help with me, what would you tell them?
I would I would I would recommend you 100%. You've been very understanding. Uh, I know not things that we've talked about won't get out into my medical record and haunt me for the rest of my life. I know uh, that you just want to make me better. You
Yeah,
just there's this whole time you've been just like me. We share that blue-eyed boy thing, I think, where you
yeah,
just
we are
you
both.
want to fix it. You're like, I see this problem. We're gonna figure it out. I remember one day you told me, you're like, you got a lot of inflammation going on, and I'm gonna find
Hmm.
it. And that was a kind of a statement that you made, and it was just kind of in a random conversation, and I was like, good, somebody's gonna find this.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna figure this out.
Mhm.
I probably had a lot of these health issues going on for a lot of time, and this just kind of made everything worse and got me to the lowest point I've ever been in my whole entire life. And now I could see the light. I'm planning for the future. We're going to the mountains in a couple weeks, and yeah,
Nice.
yeah, things are getting back in the right direction.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, is there anything in closing here that you want to just say to the audience or say to me or anything that you feel that's on your heart that you want to like share?
Hmm. Be proactive in your healthcare.
Hmm.
That's Be proactive. Believe in yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. I've really had to work on that. When things aren't right and you screw something up, it's because you're not right. It's not you. Just don't be hard on yourself, and just don't give up. Just keep fighting.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Talk to Dr. Hugh when you got problems. If your doctor isn't listening to you, get another doctor.
Hmm.
I think it's a team that needs to be in place to get you to recovered.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent here, Tom, and I appreciate you coming on the phone call. And this is why I've studied thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of research articles and lectures and traveled all over the world to make an impact on your life and other people's lives. And that's the greatest joy that can come back to me, is just seeing like a life changed and a life that's changed, and you can enjoy life, and you can enjoy your wife and your life and your yard, and do all these things that God designed every one of us to be able to do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, take care, and where there's help, there's hope. Thanks, and we'll talk to you on our next call here, Tom. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye bye.